Hey guys, welcome to the Journey Back with Tiffany Hunt. Today we're going to be talking about the choice being yours. So have you made your decision yet? Or what is your decision? And what I mean by that, like I know I'm going right into it. What I mean by that is there are signs, there are alarm bells, there is a lot of things going on and going off around you. And so you have a decision to make. Rather, you will hold on to things, people, even, it could be locale or locations or places that you decide to hold on to or keep that are not serving you, that are not causing you to get better. And it's extremely comfortable for us to hold on to that which we're used to having. Even if it's an unhealthy thing, even if it's, excuse me, even if it's something that we know is not what we need to be doing or how we need to be responding or how we need to be moving, it is so challenging at times to let those things go. And I think sometimes our mindset about certain things can cause us to hold on to things even more. Like if we make up in our mind that doing something new is so hard and that it's going to be such a tragedy, such a tragedy and a travesty, that it's going to be so horrible and so bad and so difficult, you've created this whole really volcanic eruption in your brain. And so every time you're walking towards change, your emotions and your body is telling you, okay, don't go that way, don't go that way. Because there's going to be a volcanic eruption. There's going to be lava all over the place. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be terrible. If you've already created the end in mind and the end is not good, or that trying something new is going to be hard and it's going to be difficult and it's going to be challenging, you've already talked yourself out of it and you've made your decision, but your decision is not helping you to become the person you want to become. And even me, I'm dealing with life right now, guys. Like I want to be here every week, but I have life things going on. I have 3 other people on a day-to-day basis besides myself, of course, that I'm responsible for. And anybody that's a mom, a wife, they understand where I'm coming from. Like I'd love to be recording at night or recording in the morning. And I'm still, even though it's been months that I've been doing this YouTube channel, I am still honestly trying to fully find my footing, and I haven't fully found it yet. I am developing a new idea, and I want, of course, I'm always asking for you guys' feedback and to hear back from you. And I know I'm jumping a little bit, but I'm just sharing, I'm just being vulnerable with you and having this conversation with you about my own stuff that I'm dealing with, as far as letting go of things and habits and ways of being that are not helpful and not propelling me forward, but they are literally keeping me stuck. It's like when you have gum on the bottom of your shoe, the gum will be in one place and you can stretch it only but so far. And depending on how fresh the gum is or how old it is will determine how far it lets you go. You may kind of be stuck, or if you walk in some wet concrete, if you don't move quick enough and the concrete dries, you're going to be stuck in that place, or are you living in a space of quicksand? Is what you're doing causing you to just kind of drown in your own stuff? And for me right now, I am trying to find my footing. I'm in a place of building. I'm rediscovering different things about myself. I am learning things about my family. I am making adjustments. I am readjusting. I'm doing old things and I'm doing new things. And I'm in a taking off and a putting on space in my life. And I am working on being patient with myself in the process, understanding that it took me I'm 30, goodness, I should know my age, right? It is late. It's after 12 o'clock. And so I will say it took me 36 years to get where I am. I'll be 37 this year, so that's why I was kind of going back and forth about 30. But anyway, I'm 36 years old, and it took me 36 years to get in this space. And in some areas, it may have only taken me 20 years, but that's still 20 years of buildup. That's still 20 years of stuff. That's 20 years of, as my ancestors called it, that is 20 years of like twine and wire that I have to unravel. You know, like if you've ever had wires behind your TV or underneath the console or something like that, and the wires got all crossed and mixed up or whatever, you had to sit there and take your time to figure out how to unwind those things. And so there's unraveling, and there's detachments and cut things that need to be cut off in my life. And there are also things that I need to open my arms to that are new, you know, and require adjustments for me and for my family. And so I'm being patient with myself in that process. I do know that I am going to be going live. Like the last couple of videos were live. I do like the idea of being able to record and get it to you guys as soon as I'm recording. But I am moving to a place where I want to start taking your questions live. And that is going to require some different things from me. So I'm going to need, like, I know I wasn't here last week because I had some things come up with my family. And so I have to prioritize that. And I'm just going to take a week off to get everything like I want it situated, so that when I present it to you that it's done. I'm not saying, oh, I'm maybe going to do this or I might do that. I'm going to completely formulate this plan, and then I'm going to come back to you next week with it executed so that it is done. And there is a push and pull in me. There are lots of, I'm a creative, so there's always different ideas going on in my head. And I'm grateful that I do have my ancestors to help me hone in on what it is that I need to focus in on at the time. Because to be honest, I have a family full-time that is a 24-hour day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year job. I have myself, and I realized this morning, guys, just being honest, you know I always talk about self-care and how important it is to take care of yourself. How much I've been neglecting my hair. Like, I know it's still looking kind of crazy right now, but I have not like been moisturizing my hair. You know, I haven't, you know, like you haven't, most people that have natural hair don't actually run a comb through their hair every day. But I mean, I haven't really been combing my hair. I just, you know, I've been kind of on the run, and not kind of on the run. I've been on the run, and I have integrated some new things into my schedule and into my life. You know, I make it a priority to go to boot camp, but then there's still some things that I'm working on to get my health in order, to get my body in order, to get my mind in order, to get my life in order. And there are times when I'm not loving and patient with myself in that process because I want it to be done now. In fact, I want it to be done yesterday. But I am developing the patience with loving myself in the process and not being attached to what the process looks like in order to get to the outcome that I know is ahead. Like, there are outcomes that I've seen that I know are ahead, and I know that I'm going to reach the finish line. I just don't know what the untangling and unraveling and the binding all looks like in that process. Because I feel like a lot of times my ancestors will allow me to see ahead of time, but I don't always know the details of, I don't know the details of the trip. I just know the destination. You know, like a lot of us may know the details of the trip and not know the destination because we haven't made any plans or we haven't inquired about the end goal. And a lot of times, if you know the end goal, you can make plans and not be attached to those plans, to give yourself space for when life happens or when adjustments needs to be made. And I am aware of myself in this place, and I have to be honest with you guys. I understand and know that there's a need for what it is that I'm giving and what it is that I'm bringing to the table with this channel and with the services I offer. But I also understand the need to step back, make adjustments, reassess, and then represent to you guys. And so that is what I will be doing. But there are decisions that are on the forefront that are going to change the trajectory of your life, that are going to affect and have a ripple effect on spouses, on children, on grandchildren, on great-grandchildren, on great-great-grandchildren. So what will you decide? The decision is before you. Will you be impulsive and just make the decision without thought? Will you make the decision based on your emotions and what you've been conditioned to do? Like I had a conversation with somebody earlier today, and they were in a challenging situation where there was, you know, a lot of people will say, well, once I'm disrespected or whatever, I'm going to 10, you know, and 10 for one person may be, I'm putting my hands on you. 10 for somebody else may just mean I'm just going to curse you out from A to Z. You know, 10 for another person may mean I don't want any parts of you. But when the disrespect is in-house, or the disrespect is close to our being, like our kids or, you know, different family members, then you have to move a little bit differently, because I would hope that you would move with a little more care, simply because these people are connected to you and they're not going anywhere. So you don't want to do irreparable damage when you're moving and making decisions. And so I was gifted the opportunity to walk them through and talk them through some of the things that I got in talking to them in reference to, okay, your family is looking at you and looking at how you're going to respond. And so you did good by withholding and not just going where you wanted to go. Your ancestors did phenomenal by helping to hold you in place. But you have an option. You have a choice. You know, you can choose chaos because they were still upset about the situation, which rightfully so. I would never discount anybody's emotions or feelings. I know what that feels like, so I'm not going to do that. But you have a choice. You can choose the chaos or you can choose the peace. And then you can choose to focus and give all your energy to the problem, or you can look at the problem and focus on the solution. You know, look at the problem with a bird's eye view. Because if you look with a bird's eye view, not saying you can see the whole thing, because from a bird's eye view, depending on how high the bird is in the air, something big may look very small from far away. So sometimes we need that thing that's big when we're right up on it to look small, so that we can really give it some perspective. We need to adjust our point of view. We need to adjust our perception of it so that we cannot make it bigger than what it actually is. Because there are times where we're taught, oh, if somebody says the wrong thing to you, then you go to 10. Like, I mean, I do my fair share of reality TV show watching, and it's just, it grieves me how easy it is for us to put our hands on each other, for our emotions to be that out of control, and for us to be that out of pocket as a people in general, that the first time you say something to me, or you say something off cuff to me, and that means I need to put my hands on you and violate your body. What is that saying about you? Is that communicating that your body has been violated, so then you have no respect for other people's bodies? Or are you saying you don't value your freedom, so it doesn't matter, you're willing to go to jail for putting your hands on somebody? What is that communicating? Because in our actions, even more than our words at times, we are communicating. And so what are you saying? You know, what are you saying? What are you communicating to people in your movements, and how you handle them, and how you handle yourself, you know, in the things that you do? And just being honest, I'm working on handling things better. I understand, and I'm embracing the fact that I am a work in progress, and that things are not always going to look exactly how I want them to look, because I grew up in a beauty salon. I am a licensed cosmetologist. I like pretty things. I'm girly when it comes to that. I like earrings and heels and makeup and all that stuff. And I do feel sometimes a level of pressure, not from somebody else, but even from myself and how I was reared, that you have to present yourself to the world in a certain way. And I'm not saying that I want to present myself in a raggedy way. I'm just saying that, even being honest, sometimes I don't get on because I haven't quite gotten myself together, or I haven't had made time to get myself to present myself in the way that I want to present myself to you aesthetically. Because it's unfortunate, but it's very true. In the Western world that we live in, if you don't present in a certain way, people don't even always give you the time of day. You know, they won't even stop and hear you because you present or you look a certain way. And I understand that somebody's eyes, that your presentation is the first thing that is going to be seen. And also I understand that how you come, how you present is a way to communicate. You know, and so if you're sloppy, if you're unput together, if you always look disheveled, if you always look a hot mess, it's like, does this person even care, you know, about how they put themselves together? But then I do understand, as a mom that stays at home, that no one has always all the time to give all that energy to just looking pretty, you know. And then there's a place of wanting to embrace your natural self without all the extra stuff. So it is finding that fine balance for you, you know, and what works for you and how you want to do it. And so for me, I'm understanding and I'm working on finding that balance, and I'm processing and creating a plan for what that looks like for me, because it is a very individual thing. Okay, how do you want to look? How do you want to present? What are the parameters? What are the goals? How do you want it to look? And okay, this is what it's going to look like for you to do in order to be able to execute that. And so we have to think about all of the details in our decision making. We can't just, well, we can, but then we end up being reactive instead of proactive. Like we were discussing in class tonight about how discussing details about a particular instance, and it was like, you know, if you don't think through the decision, then you have to clean it up on the other side of it because you were impulsive. And I will raise my hand, like me, I have challenges with being impulsive sometimes with ideas, and I don't always think everything through, and I don't always look at the other side of it. And that's not all the time, and that's not in every area. But I do understand that I need to work on impulse control in certain areas, because having those impulses causes me to go back to habits that don't serve me where I want to go. Period. That's just the honest truth about it. And so we have to be honest and willing to look at, dissect, and then create a plan to execute. You know, it's beyond just getting to a place of, oh, well, I'm going to look at it, you know, but most of us, we so scared, we don't even want to look. Or we have gotten so complacent and comfortable in our own lives that we won't even look. We won't even take that inventory and say, oh, goodness, that is going to have me at this place. You know, like you watch, I've never technically watched the show, but I've seen advertisements for it, and I see it on the guide. You know, My 600 Pound Life, they got there 1 pound at a time. They got there 1 pound at a time. And you lose the weight or you make the adjustments one decision at a time. You are one decision away from going forward, moving backwards, or staying still. What will you decide? What is your decision? I am so excited and grateful to talk to you guys. I know I've been sounding kind of tired these last few videos, and it is because it is very late. And as I've gotten older, I mean, I know I'm only a few months older than what I was when I started this. I have more on my plate now than I did when I first got started. I have some businesses and some things that are coming to the surface, and some more responsibilities. And I am definitely depending on my people and myself And when I talk about my people, that means my ancestors. I'm depending on my people and myself to help me to hone in and develop mastery of my own life, and mastery of my own being, so that I can work it in its best, so that it can work to full capacity, if that makes sense, without impeding the necessary boundaries that I need to have in order to thrive in every area. And I expect and plan to thrive in every area. And I will not be committed to what it has to look like for me. And I will not be committed to perfection, because I'm not perfect. And so I'm going to embrace the fact that it's maybe not going to look as pretty as I want it to look. I'm going to embrace the fact that there are going to be some mishaps, some shortfalls in the process. And I'm going to choose to love and choose to be at peace and choose to have gratitude for however it shows up and however it looks. And that is a growth process, because there is a time in my life where if it didn't look a certain way, if it didn't feel a certain way, if it wasn't packaged a certain way, I didn't have a level of openness to it, or I didn't know how I could embrace it or, move through it. But now I understand I can be committed to peace. I can be committed to tranquility. I can be committed to the process. I can be committed to the end results and the outcome. And I can be okay with it not looking exactly how I want it to look, because I'm not the only, what is the word I want to use? I am not the only part of the equation, if that makes sense. The ending is like the sum total of its parts. I'm only one part in the equation. I'm only one part in the situation. So I can't be the sum total as far as what the solution is. Like I tell my daughter all the time, you are extremely important. You are very valuable. You are extremely loved. However, everything is not about you. However, you are not the only person that we have to have concern about and consideration for. And so you have to consider others. You have to think through your decisions. You have to give what it is that needs you and what it is that needs your attention at that time, to be present with that. And that is a work that we all have to do, I understand, because there are times when you're at work and you're thinking about home, and then you're at home and you're thinking about work, and you're trying to connect spiritually, and your mind is all in the physical world. And so it is important for us to learn and master and practice. And you master by practicing, which is something that I heard just recently. As well, that you can't master anything if you don't practice it enough. And so I'm going to begin to practice. I would charge all of you to begin to practice some skills and some habits that you want to develop in order to begin to master those things, so that they are in your arsenal when you need to go to war. And sometimes that war is with your old self. And in saying there's a war and there's a battle going on between that old you and that new you. And the new you wants to emerge, and the old you wants to continue to reemerge and reinvent. But you need a whole new you. And so you have that choice that is before you that I've been speaking about this whole time. Are you going to stay? Are you going to move? Or are you going to go back? And when I say go back, I mean going back to something healthy, because going back to something unhealthy, because this, of course, is the journey back, and it is about going back, but going back to your roots, going back to learning yourself, getting back to yourself, rediscovering who you are now. It is not a journey back to something old that's dead, but something that is very much alive, something that is alive in you, or something that that is not dead but dormant, something that has been hiding some of your hidden treasures. Will you have the courage? Will you have the fortitude? Will you have the tenacity? Will you be honest with yourself and say, there is some untapped treasure in here, and I have been scared to tap into it because it makes other people uncomfortable. I have been uncomfortable tapping into it because even I'm uncomfortable with it. And I haven't fully embraced it because I don't fully know what it is. I only see bits and pieces of it and glimmers of it during certain times. And so I don't know. But when you're 90, will you say, I wish I had? Or there was an opportunity to, but I allowed fear to cripple me. I allowed the what ifs to talk me out of it. I allowed the voices from friends or so-called friends that didn't want me to grow. I allowed familiarity to breed the contempt. I allowed the familiarity to keep me stuck and stagnant in stinky water. I didn't push forward. I didn't rediscover. I didn't allow myself to be reborn again anew so that I could press forward and launch something phenomenal. I decided to stay stuck. I decided to check out and give up before I even turned 40 and did not continue to press. You know, or even after, it's never too late to make adjustments and changes. For as long as you are here, you're supposed to be learning. For as long as you are here on earth, you're supposed to be growing and developing and discovering and becoming. You're becoming, and you will obtain along the way. But you may not always, it may not always look exactly like you want it to look in that process. And so again, I will leave you with these thoughts. It is extremely important to make informed decisions and not emotional decisions. It is extremely important to be proactive instead of reactive. Because if you're proactive, then you don't have to be reactive in the moment and make another bad decision on top of a bad decision that you already made, you know, and being even more impulsive, and compounding a problem and making it bigger. Begin to try to get a bird's eye view. In fact, begin to try to get several different views of your situation. Different position. Look at your situation from different positions. If it includes different people, try to put yourself in their shoes so that you can see from their perspective. And what that means is more than just saying, oh, well, this is what a typical wife is, or this is what a typical husband is, or this is what children are, so this is how they feel. No, really get into their shoes. Okay, what has their history been? What has their background been? All those things create the who we are and how we be. And how we be is not good a lot of times. You know, like I watch Marriage Boot Camp, hip hop. I think it's Hip Hop Edition or whatever. And they were talking about their childhoods, and it brought me to tears because to be able to see that much pain. But that's a whole nother video. Let's discuss. Again, you guys won't see me next week. I'm saying this ahead of time so that I won't not come. Plan to come, then not come. So you guys will not see me next week if I happen to get things done before. We will see. But for right now, I do not plan on being doing a video next week because I have some logistical things that I want to get completed, and I want to give myself adequate time because I am so guilty of overloading an already extremely full plate. And so that is not serving me or anybody else. In some ways, it makes me look flaky. It makes me look like I can't commit, or that I don't have follow through. And so I want to present in a better way. And so I'm going to step back, make some adjustments, and then come back to you better. I love you guys. I thank you so much for spending some time with me and for watching. I hope that everyone is doing well. Again, I am still taking sessions. I am still scheduling time. So if you would like to reach out to me for a strategy session, please do give me a call. I will assist you with that. Well, I haven't given my telephone number, and I'm not giving my telephone number until a one-on-one has been scheduled. But I do have an email address where you can reach out to me. And I am interested in your questions. I'm interested in you guys sending me topics. If you have topic ideas or things that you would like to hear me discuss or hear my perspective on, please do reach out via email. The email will be in the description bar. Thank you all so much for your time. And again, I'm here to give you fuel for action. So move. Have a good one.